4. Is that confusing? I hope not. Part 2 of part 4. We went over a little bit for part 1 because I had a bit of discrepancies. Design discrepancies. Hold on. Nope. Not that. Let me just. Oh. No, that's not. Why? Let's see. Where are the videos? There we go. Just want to make sure that we're all here. Let me know if the sound is okay and we're good. I don't know why I can't see. Let's see if it comes up here. Let's do a little refresh. There we go. Okay, I see me here. I don't know why I don't see me here. This is where I need to see me because this is where I can see the comments. We're gonna start on that bag. Okay, the sound is good. Hey, Blue Jay, welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's better. All right, we're gonna get started on part 2. Part 2 is the beach bag, right? That's it. So we're at the bottom. But y'all good? Are y'all all right? Did you make good use of that 5 to 8 minute break? So I'm actually storing the accessories in the beach bag, but this is the beach bag that we will be working on. And funny enough, or cool enough, the pattern even gives you the instructions based on what you choose as the main color, which is really important and useful. So, you know, I think that's a little bonus thing. That way, we don't all have to have the same exact identical creation, right? When you have the option to arrange the colors the way that you want, you have the option to make your main color something else, and you know how to proceed with that variation. Okay, so I'm gonna sit back and relax and get all my colors. Hey, somehow I'm signed. I'm not signed to anything. I'll be back. Okay. No worries, AJ. Welcome. Fabiola Martinez. Hi. Okay, so if you were with us for part 1 of part 4, then we can continue on. We just finished creating the visor for this design. Look at her right there. It's really cute. And while we had quite a few hiccups along the way, we did it. We managed it. And so we are moving on to the beach bag. So the beach bag is not done with the 3.5mm hook. The beach bag is done with the 3.25mm hook. Right? Hey, Giovanna, welcome back, welcome back. So let me go up to the instructions for the beach bag, because this is cool. Okay, so for the beach bag, you can see that I have the color order there, and you can also see that it tells you which color to start with based on your main color. So that's exciting. So for me, because my main color is Summershine, if my main color is Summershine, then I have to start with Firelight. Hold on, let me make sure I have my hook size correct. This is 3.25, 3.5, I need a 3.25 millimeter hook. Okay, so use those that information to make the proper choice. The reason why I have it worded that way is because in the instance of this version, Pixie Pop is the main color, and I wanted the handle to end in the main color. So in order for the handle to end in the main color, you have to start with the color right before that. So that's the importance of starting with that. So let us get started. Where is my Firelight? Yes, I got my Firelight. Shout out to my kind of string yarn, so weak. This yarn is really, really vibrant, and it's perfect for doing what we're doing right now. So, because my main color is Summershine, I am starting with Firelight. Right? And here's the funny thing. Yeah, we're going to be working backwards, I think. Because the goal is to end on your whatever your main color is. So after Firelight, it'll be Pixie Pop, then Firelight. Yeah. It's funny because I do these things, right, and I really concentrate and focus, right, and then I go to redo it and I question myself when I'm like, all the time you spent designing and writing and checking and making sure, I still don't trust me. You know, I always be like, I don't trust it, I don't trust it. I don't even trust me sometimes, so I gotta get it together. So let's go. Started with chain 12. So chain 12, because we're making the base of the bag. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And y'all know we have to create these corners. This is also a rectangle, so it requires 3 stitches for each corner, right? And then, yeah. And so Giovanna says this portion is correct, and I feel like it should be because the mistake I made when creating it was that I had created this design, this bag design specifically for this design, this doll. And I never made the doll available, but I liked the bag, and so I created the bag again for Winnie Melon. But Winnie Melon's colors are different and all of that, and it was nowhere near as many color changes. And so I accommodated the colors for Winnie Melon to change accordingly. But when I had never written it down, so I was just basically using, like looking at the bag and writing it down. So when I went to actually write the color change for this design, I was going based off of the writing that I had done for Winnie Melon. I'm like, why is this bag so long? Because what I didn't realize is that the count was supposed to stay the same, and my color changing frequency was supposed to change. awesome. And I didn't account for that. So my bag had all these extra rows, and I didn't understand it initially, and then I was like, oh, that's what you did wrong. So I had to go back and correct that. And I did, and I was like, oh, okay. So first I'm like, what is this? Because every now and then, and here's where my creative brain goes into action. When I'm working on certain things sometimes, and the math for it is giving me issues, like when I mean real issues. I'm not saying like, oh, I made a mistake. When I say it's giving me issues, meaning doing this and doing that should equal this, and I'm doing it over and over, and I'm like, what is missing? Why is it not coming out right? Whenever I have repeated issues with that, I feel almost as though I have fallen into a odd mathematic dimension where numbers are playing with me. It's almost like they're like, you thought you was gonna get this. And like my brain just has numbers dancing and laughing and saying, nope, wrong again. Even in this alternate dimension, 1 plus 1 does not equal 2. 1 plus 1 can equal whatever they want to equal. And my brain says, oh, okay, maybe I need to put this down for a minute. That's how I wind up with a lot of duds and a lot of things that maybe don't come out that you'll see, and you'll be like, oh, let's do that one. And I'm like, nah, there was some issues with that. Slipped into a weird mathematic dimension, and things didn't work out, and I couldn't explain it to myself, so I can't explain it to you. And so and so I wound up like having to, break away from things, go back to things, and it becomes a whole thing in my head. And sometimes it's simply the result of me being tired and being up too long. And so my brain isn't functioning the way it's supposed to. And so, occasionally I'll come back and be like, oh my gosh, why was this so difficult? Why wasn't this making sense? It probably wasn't making sense because I hadn't eaten anything, or I had been up over 24 hours, that kind of stuff. But in my mind, I'm like, nah, you slipped into an alternate mathematical dimension, and now the numbers are teasing you and making fun of you. Your numbers are mocking you. They don't respect you. That's what I'm telling myself. Instead of saying, go to sleep, put it down, quit, my brain says, nah, these numbers are playing with you, and they don't respect you. That's a really, really creative way to avoid the reality that you need to take care of yourself. You need to go lay down. So yeah, that's a thing. But we continue on. So remember, now we're working on the other side, and the truth of the matter is it's just the same stitch. So at the end, when you get to the end, you're pretty much just doing 6 single crochets in one space once you get down to the end. But in my head, it's like, to better illustrate it for you, get to the end, 3. Then you're now working on the other side of the chain, 3. And then, But these corners are important because we are not making a square, we are making a rectangle. And so those 3 single crochet increases are very important to the shape of this bag. It's also a nice little reprieve from color changing because after the first, 4 rows, you gotta start the processes of color changing. So get your mind ready, get your hooks ready, get your yarn ready. We're going to be changing colors quite frequently once we finish row 4. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's make sure. 1, 2, 3. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions? As we continue with the bottom of this bag, we're on row 2 now. I'm on row 2 now. So I'm crocheting the first stitch. Okay. I swear, sometimes I have to be careful not to assume that I know what I wrote. Ding, ding, ding. So it's 12 stitches, right? So after I do that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Gotta make sure these corners are correct, because if you don't have these corners correct, your bag shape is not going to be accurate. The corners are very, very important, and it's important to put them in the correct spaces. So sleepy. Why do we buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I say I don't know why I feel so sleepy, but the truth is, I feel sleepy because I didn't get sleep. I didn't sleep much. And yeah. Y'all believe just like that June is over? Ridiculous. Don't understand. Don't understand. This year has been going really fast. You know what? I feel like we talked about it yesterday, but I definitely want to do some more creative participation with you all. I mentioned it yesterday. I want to create like a whole bunch of different color schemes and ideas that I want you all to kind of choose from, just to exercise my creative muscles. But like I said, while doing that while creating that visor, I really was like, oh, those colors. I really like them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. But I want to create like brainstorm some ideas, like a whole bunch of I want to do them all, but sometimes wanting to do them all, it's hard for me to choose. And so I want to give you all the opportunity or the option to choose, and then see what comes of that. You know, like if I give you like 3 themes to choose from, and you all vote on the theme, then I have to do a design in that theme, and the challenge will be that it'll probably be a theme maybe that I don't necessarily or haven't really fleshed out completely, or maybe don't even really want to do, or even like color schemes maybe. So we're gonna figure that out. Well, how does that sound? 2, 3, 4. Because ultimately that'll give you a role in what you create next, right? Because it'll kind of be like based on what you kind of want to see. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, and 14. All right. Are y'all with me? Are y'all with me? And if you're watching on the replay, welcome. If you have any questions, just let me know. And if I move too slow in responding to questions here, you can definitely email me at mykindofthing@yahoo.com. You can inbox me on Instagram or direct message me on Instagram or Facebook. What else? Yeah. But definitely I encourage you all to check the links in the description if you are interested in purchasing my kind of string yarn, if you're interested in purchasing the pattern to participate with us in this crochet together, if you are interested in the design and you want to create her, the link for all of that is in the description. Take a second and hit the like button. Make sure that you're subscribed to this YouTube channel for all updates and things related to My Kind of Thing, My Kind of Thing University, and My Kind of String Yarn. 1, 2, 3, we're on row 4 now. It's about to get real, all this color changing. After this, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And if you are paying attention to the patterns right, you'll be able to kind of predict what comes next every time you are on a new set of instructions. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And being able to predict what's next in the pattern shows that you are comprehending what you're doing, and you really actually understand what the designer was doing in order to get the shape or whatever it is that he or she was intending. Oh. Excuse me, forgive me. I'm feeling, and you know what else it is? It's the breeze from the fan, because it is hot today, and the fan and the heat is giving me a little bit of a relaxed kind of vibe. I think after this one, I may have to take a nap. Okay, we are finished row 4. This is where we change the color. So rows 1 through 4 should be this rectangle shape. If you are doing it right, it should be the rectangle shape, and it should be in whatever your main color is, it should be in the color before that, according to the order of the colors. So, so the next color is Pixie Pop, because apparently, yeah, the color order I have is going backwards instead of forward. So, no, it's not. I don't know why I say it's going backwards instead of forward. It's actually, don't mind me. I'll be doing too much. And because I be doing too much, I'll be trying to correct stuff that don't necessarily need correcting, you know, every now and then. But if your main color is Firelight, then your next color is, if your main color is Summershine, then, well, your main color is Summershine like mine is, then you start with Firelight. If your main color is Firelight, you start with Pixie Pop. If your main color is Pixie Pop, you start with Fairy Berry. If your main color is Fairy Berry, you start with Mermaid Water. If your main color is Mermaid Water, you start with Magic Moss. If your main color is Magic Moss, you start with Sunshine. And the way it's worked is if you started with Pixie Pop, then the next color on your hook after you finish the base, it should be Fairy Berry. If your main color is Firelight, if your main color is Summershine, and you started with Firelight, then your next color should be Pixie Pop. The color order is Pixie Pop, Fairy Berry, Mermaid Water, Magic Moss, Summershine, Firelight. Pink, purple, blue, green, yellow, orange. Right? That's the color order. So just follow that and you'll be fine. And so for row 5, you're going in the back loops only. Once you change the color. And I'm looking to take my stitch marker out and then put it back in. Now here's the thing, because of how frequently we change the color, you don't necessarily need the stitch marker. But if you're like me and occasionally you need to see things and it needs to, you put that stitch marker in there. I don't know why I feel like that coffee should have had me bouncing off the walls. Excuse me, it gotta be the heat. It gotta be it's the way I feel like taking a nap. And it's almost 5 o'clock, so that's not a good idea, because if I take a nap, I'm gonna be up all night. That's the problem. By the way, you should have 66 stitches by the end of row 4. Yes. That's the way I did my main color, Sunshine. So, okay. Yeah, because sometimes I worry I'll be going backwards. Because I think for the, I don't know. And again, if I'm not necessarily in design mode, I'm liable to, you know, do something weird where it's a subtle difference that, you know, but like I said, while working on this visor, I was really hyped about the way the yellow, orange, pink, and purple look together. Just those three colors. I was like, ooh, that's nice, you know? And I want to do something with that. Because it seems kind of weird, you know? Like I would have never thought to group them together. But it also seems like the sunset at night. It's like the sunset. And now I've carried the yarn a little bit. Here's my scissors. Because when changing the colors, you don't need to carry the yarn over. I just carried enough to where I can cut it off and keep going. You know, scissors love to just do what they want to do around here. My scissors love to walk off when they feel it. And I don't even understand what this stuff. Where did you was going? Sitting right now? I can't be sitting right now because I would feel them. They're very sharp. See, last time I reached for scissors without paying attention. I got cut really bad in the middle of my couch. Here they are. Hiding amongst things. Oh, forgive me. We're going to have to figure out a way to liven this up. Liven this up. How can we liven this up? I would say play some music, but I don't like the idea of copyright strikes. And then they be like, oh, we'll play music that isn't copyright or that's copyright friendly. And I'm like, well, that music is not usually good. Can't sing along to that. We have to figure something out to make it so. I probably just need to kind of do the lives and then edit them down. But we'll figure it out, right? We'll figure it out. Because now it's just the tedium of working around and changing colors. But if you're a crocheter, you don't mind that, right? You know that it's part of how we do. And here's the cool thing about this design and the color changing component, especially for this bag, even though it's tedious to have to change the colors, right? What's cool or okay is that you don't necessarily have to do a whole bunch of paying attention, because basically the first 6 rows after, or maybe 5, not 6, the first few rows, you know, it's just simply 2 rows of each color. So you're changing the color every 2 rows after you've created the base. Like the base is rows 1 through 4. Right, and if you look at your pattern, you'll see that rows 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12, 13 and 14 are just 2 rows of the same color. You're changing every 2 rows. Then, when you get to 15, rows 15 through 20, or 15 through 19, it's just to change every row. Here's the other thing, right? The colors are arranged this way, and it's totally fine. It's the most aesthetically appealing, just based on just the regular color order. It's the most aesthetically appealing way to do this. You don't have to do this. If you're feeling like a color rebel and you're like, you know what, I know the pattern says do it like this, but I want to do it like that, you can use these same colors and arrange them however you want to arrange them. You don't have to stick to the system. It's not necessary or mandatory that you do it exactly the way the pattern says. Excuse me, this is one of the ways that you can make your design even more unique. Yes, we're all working from the same pattern. We might even be using all the same colors, but you have the option of arranging them however you want to if you don't want to follow the exact arrangement. And I kind of love a good rebel. To some degree I rebel, but within reason for me. Like, I'm a rebel, but not really, like, not in that way. It's certainly not, well, I don't want to say certainly not with color, because every now and then I do that too. But you don't have to commit to the color change system. What I will say though is be mindful, because the yarn that you have, if you purchase the companion pack, it is enough for you to do this doll. Like, it's enough yarn to do the doll. And you'll have some of every color left over, but it's like, it's not, meaning like, it's not enough, I don't think, for you to exclude a color and evenly distribute it. Meaning, like, let's say you decided that you want this whole doll to just be 3 of the 6 colors. I don't know that it is enough of 3 colors to do the whole design exclusively in those colors. So you do want to be mindful of that. But I say, if you're feeling rebellious, I say go for it, because I'd like to see it, you know, so that'll be cool, right? But I'm on row 6. Row 6. But like I said, you know, if you want to be a little rebellious, I encourage that. I support it. So, you know, you don't always have to do exactly what you're told. And I know that sounds crazy, right? That sounds crazy and like, oh my gosh, but you don't always have to follow the rules. Not always. And not exactly. You know, if you want to work backwards, you can work backwards, basically meaning instead of doing orange, pink, purple, blue, green, you can do orange, yellow, green. You know, you can work in the other direction. Even that creates a slight difference. So instead of working in Roy G. Bibb, you can work Bibb G, or Bibb G. Yob. Bibb G. Yob. Instead of Roy G. Bibb. So, you know. It's up to you. However inspired you feel, do what you feel. Does anybody have any questions? Or are y'all really focused and crocheting? Is that what's happening right now? I'm feeling really, really. Let's do this. Let's do this. I'm wondering how the heck. I think the visor, I did something different. Because I feel like, Yeah, I think with the visor, the reason why I got that whole what looks like sunset, I'm behind, so I'm focused on crocheting. Oh, okay. No worries. You know, this is our leisure art. We do it how we need to do. But oh, that's what I wanted to tell you. You're behind. I made a lot of corrections today that were not in the pattern. And so before you get to part 4, make sure you have the updated version of this pattern, because once this live ends, I'll be sending the updated version of it with the corrections, because there was some double crochets missing in the brim. There was an error with them. There's a few errors in there that I had to correct. So before you start on part 4. But like I said, I'll be sending out an email with the updated version once we end this live, so that anybody that's moving along don't pick up the mistakes. I was on here on the first part, I was on here looking like I wasn't a professional, like I didn't know what I was doing. So so for the people that are new here and don't know or are not accustomed to my kind of thing and my kind of thing university, I promise you I know what I'm doing. Don't let part 1 of part 4 discourage you from trusting me and my skills. I am quite skilled at crochet. I just be doing too much sometimes. So now we're gonna get our fairy berry, because that's what's next. Fairy berry. I like kind of string. And we're gonna just do some right on in here. And for 2 rows, we're gonna go. And like I said, I carry it for the first few stitches, just to kind of anchor it. And as I do it, I do those. Thank you, Giovanna. Yeah, because I'm telling you, the way I was looking, I was looking like I ain't know, to a person who doesn't know or maybe doesn't follow me or is new here. Those mistakes and that confusion might have discouraged them. So you don't want to discourage any potential NKTU students, right? Anybody else sits like this? Now, I know this looks bad as far as posture is concerned, but to me it doesn't feel uncomfortable, and I don't have a back issue, at least not upper back issue. But with my legs folded, I just feel much more comfortable. I tell you what I can't stand. I can't stand sitting in a chair and working on a table on the camera. I mean, I do it and I've done it for years, but my favorite way to sit crocheting is like with my legs folded up and sitting, like, for the most part I sit upright. But every now and then, especially when I get really, really relaxed and comfortable, I lean. And not for nothing, I think I crochet faster than I most comfortable. And I know that I'm not on camera, so see if I can. Because my hands should at the very least be on camera, right? There we go. So yeah, this is very, very intimate. I'm looking at what I look like on camera. But this is normally how I sit and crochet. And I can sit and crochet like this for a long time. When I get like really comfortable, I'll be like, yep, this is how we doing it. See, I don't leave me on camera for that long amount of time. I'm sitting in that chair. You know? But this is my comfortable crochet posture. And like I said, I know it looks crazy because it looks like I'm constantly, but I'm okay like this. Like, and I can sit like this for hours and listen to audiobooks or listen to movies, you know? That's how I see it. And when I tell you I be in a zone, I be in a zone. Yeah, because see, even now I feel less sleepy than I did just a few minutes ago. You know, so I know y'all are looking at the top of my head like, but yeah, I like this posture. You know? How do y'all sit in your crochet? Do you fold up, or do you sit at a table or a desk? You know? What comes after purple? What's the next color on the list? We got Firelight, Pixie Pop, Fairy Berry. Do you know what's next? See, I know the color order by heart. You know, it's not something that I have to guess at. Because, you know, it reminds me of Mermaid Water is next. Yes. You're at your desk, you sit at your desk. Yeah, see, I had never got accustomed to sitting upright. For me, crochet has always been something that I've comfortably done. Like, you know, sitting at a desk trying to do it is always like, it almost feels too much like work. When I'm able to put my feet up and just kind of lean or whatever, it feels more relaxing to me. So, I'm just saying. And then I crack up because it's probably strange for a person of my size to be sitting so folded up. But I've always sat this way, even when I wasn't this size. So. Yeah, we just be leisure arting. Just be leisure arting. I was laughing, you know, one of the coolest things to me about being a black woman, a black person, is African American vernacular. To me, it's one of the coolest things about being Black American, African American. And so one of the recent things that I fell in love with is the way that we have turned nouns into verbs. I'm loving it. It's always hilarious when I hear it, and I'm like, you know, we're just so darn creative. We don't never do nothing the way it's supposed to be done, or at least we always find a way to just to jazz it up, you know. We always find a way to make it cool and unique, and I like that. I don't know. Are you comfortable at your desk, Giovanna? Because maybe if you're comfortable at your desk, then sure. But to me, I just, I'm a relaxed kind of person, you know? And so to me, I'm doing my best work when I feel like, I'm good, I'm relaxed, I'm comfortable. Not so comfortable that I'm like dozing or anything, because I don't really do that. But just, like I'm about to be, I'll be like, yeah, I'm about to do some creative, something real good, And so when the setup is cool and the temperature is right, and I got all the materials I need, and I'm feeling inspired, I'm like, yeah, it's about to go down. Let me get all relaxed and comfy. Let me get everything that I think I might need in order to get this thing going, and I just get started. And before I know it, time is going by, and I feel really satisfied with that. But if you feel like a sofa would make you even feel more comfortable, then I say go for it. I say absolutely go for it. Do the thing. But yeah, I love, one of my favorite things, and I do. Anybody else do a list of favorite things as it pertains to just anything? Like, I always have a favorite something. And I was teased about the things that are my favorite. I have all the time. Never thought about it. Okay. Okay. Well, what I'm saying, like, it all depends on your level of comfort. Like I said, there are certain things that I'm like, I like to, see my work while I'm working. Like, so for those of you who have like really great craft rooms, the yarn is cool. I have I've had lots of yarn around. I would have my storage cubes around, and I'd be like, oh yeah, liking to see the yarn. But also I would have the dolls that I've completed around, just sitting propped in different spaces, and it was kind of like, just like a creative, you're here, and the space, you have your reminders of the materials you have, and you have the reminders of the work that you've already done, and because there's always something about something that I've made that I absolutely love. Always. There's always an aspect of a design, and I'm like, yeah, you did that. That was good. There's always that component for me. It doesn't matter what the design is. I could tell you right now, for the summer night design, one of the favorite things is also the most tedious thing. I like looking at the skirt and the top. I love the way the stitches are done, and I love the way the colors are arranged. And if I'm being honest, that second layer, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, it really isn't necessary for the skirt. The skirt is by itself with just the color change. But the reason why I wound up creating the second layer was because without that second layer, the skirt was too short. Like, it was really short, and I was like, nah, we don't do that here. So I added that second layer as a way to give it length that it needed instead of doing what I probably should have did, which is I should have made the skirt the same length as the shirt. So, you know, the color change for the top is 12 rows. The color change for the bottom, 12 stitches. Color change for the bottom is 10 stitches. I could have easily just applied the same technique, just instead of 10, doing the 12 for the top. I could have did it for the bottom, and that would have been fine as far as length is concerned. To be realistic, I probably should have switched it. Probably should have made the top 10 and the bottom 12, because I also realized that I like the idea of the halter top showing the little belly button. So, right, so, you know, create that space that you love and, you know, sit in a nice, comfy space and work. Now that I'm staying with my aunts and my cousins, one of the things I will say is I'm not surrounded by my work, but I told you my aunt, I love nature. My aunt has plants all over the place. And then she loves the work that I do, so I have my dolls sitting on the window seat. And so there is that. I look at over at them and they're really cute and they're various stages of completion. But it's really, you know, she keeps it really nice. She has pictures of the family all over. So it's a really nice setting to just sit and work. And then my cousin, she's always like, hey, come downstairs and sit on the porch and do some work. And I have yet to do that, but maybe we'll do some lives on some nice days where we're outside on the porch, because that's also a thing that we can do. The only thing is we are still in the Bronx. So sometimes I'll be like, you know, things happen like right outside, sometimes across the street or whatever, and I'm just like, you know, but it's always an option. And so, you know, get comfortable in the space that you're going to work in, and just, you know, like I said, when I am my most relaxed, I do my best work. And I work really fast when I'm relaxed too, so that is a thing. And yeah, surround yourself with things that add to the pleasantness of what you're doing. You know, yesterday we talked about the themes that keep reoccurring for me. What are some colors that reoccur for you? What are some themes that come up often in your mind and in your creativity? You know, it's good to get to know yourself that way. Know what you like, know what makes you happy, know what inspires you, you know. Like, I love neat stitches. Neat stitches? Oh man, when I see some good old neat stitches, I be like, yeah. Whether they're mine or someone else's, I'm always like, yeah, that's good. And for those of you who are intimidated by color, I keep telling you, as long as your stitches are neat, sometimes, most times, I'm willing to say 99.999 times out of 100, it doesn't matter what colors you use. If your stitching is good, it's a good job. If your stitches are neat and crisp and ain't no weird strings of things happening and you can't tell where you started and where you finished, it don't matter the order that the colors come in. I promise you that. It doesn't matter what your color choices are. You know? Surround yourself with those things that just add to the atmosphere, that make you like, yeah. And you look over there and you're like, I did that. And you look up on the shelves and you're like, I did that too. You know? So, I'm just saying. because of the time, right? We're not going to do the whole bag on camera. Because like I said, y'all know I don't like that. I don't like to keep y'all hair all day long. But, we're going to end in about maybe 15 minutes or so. But I do like sitting on camera and talking with y'all. I think the days that we like Friday evenings are really, really good for some of the things, because I believe Friday is the 4th of July, Independence Day if you are in the U.S. Most people are probably not available, so I made the last and final part of this crochet together. We'll be doing it on Sunday, July 6th. So you'll have a whole bunch of time to catch up if you need to catch up, right? You'll be able to, whatever part you're up to, you'll be able to do those things throughout the course of the week to catch up, if catching up is something that you want to do. It ain't like the pattern's going to disappear on you, and neither are these videos. So they'll be here for whenever you decide to pick up your hooks and crochet summer night. It's so funny, whenever I say we're crocheting summer, I think of actually taking a hook and crocheting trees and the beaches and the ocean and the warmth and all of the things associated with summer. It's like actually crocheting it. That's why I told y'all yesterday, I want to do an exhibit. I want to create something, and I want to get back to some of the things that I started off doing that I stopped because it wasn't very popular. Like I want to get back to not necessarily using blacks and browns for hair color. How about I want to get back to making cool, fun creatures in addition to dolls. You know, I love making dolls. I also love fantasy and, you know, that kind of stuff. So I want to do more of that. And I'm gonna. Y'all down to join me with that? I know we've been making dolls, and we've been making dolls for years, and I love making dolls, and I'm still gonna keep making dolls. But as I was thinking, right, about some of the designs that I've done already, I feel like, y'all need like cool little weird partners, like even just thinking of Winnie Melon, right? Because I had a whole idea and concept for dolls that are fruit themed. I have a whole name for them and everything. But I'm also like, Winnie Melon needs a little watermelon. Not to eat like a little watermelon with face and feet. You know, like a little pal. You know, it made me think of my Minion fan, and how she has her own little minion. And that's because I freaking love minions. And without wanting to infringe on copyright stuff, because that's illegal and immoral, and I really like that, I made her to kind of be like me, because as much as I love minions, one of the reasons why I love minions is because I really like the idea of having your own little minion ready to help you execute a plan. You know, not like a bad guy or anything, but just like, I'm trying to do something really cool, and I need like a little staff of compliant people to just execute these things, you know. Like if I had minions as a grown-up, this is where, you know, it's just fun to use your imagination. If I had minions, right, my minions would always make sure that my workspace is ready. Like, so I would just come and be ready to crochet, and they'll have my hooks arranged the way they need to be arranged. They'll have the yarn, the colors that I need ready, set. They'll have, like, you know, everything all set up. Maybe they'll do the cutting for the cutting machine while I'm working. You know, my minions would be like little happy assistants that would assist with making sure that my crochet environment is set up and ready for me to do the magic that I do with strings and hooks, you know? So when I created the Minion fan, it just made me think of little me and what little younger me would have really liked if Minions were real and if I had my own little Minions. Younger me would have probably been like using the Minions to, you know, or maybe like as little buddies and partners in creating or drawing or pretend play with my dolls, you know. So my The Minion fan was based on, to some degree, younger me. You know, it's just how my brain works, you know. But yeah, it's just really important to make sure you have the right things around you when you're trying to be creative, or when your goal is to be creative, you know. I like the idea of looking at what I've done, looking at the materials for what I want to do, and just letting my brain do what it does, you know. It's so funny, look how different these bags are going to look, and it's the same colors, it's just the starting point is different. I'm going to show you them side by side so you can see how just changing your main color absolutely changes, it makes it look slightly different, you know. Let me show you, because again, we're working on the same pattern, we're working from the same set of instructions, we're working with the same colors, but we're just using them differently. So this is where my mother has been telling me for years, she's always told me it's something that I completely understand and live by. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. We are all doing the same pattern, but we are going to do things differently that will make it so that even though we're working from the same information, what we're getting is going to vary. And that's a good thing. That is the textbook definition of diversity, if you ask me. Yes, we're all human beings, but we are different culturally, ethnically, you know, we have differences on the outside. You know, it's just really important that we acknowledge that it's okay that we're not the same, and we're not doing the same things, and we're not, you know, carbon copies of the same thing over and over and over. Diversity is good. And so look at this. Same pattern and everything. Same colors and everything. Same yarn and everything. But it's going to be different. Similar. They're similar, but not the same. And that the colors are arranged differently. I wish I had the original one, because then you really see the difference, you know? So I'm just saying. And now we'll include our main color, which is Sunshine. once I finish this row of the summer charm, we can call it a day for today's session. Yes? And y'all can continue to work off camera if you still feel like you're in leisure arts mode. If you feel like you still want to finish or complete a component before you call it an evening. But just in the spirit of not going over, too long. And for those who maybe don't understand, this is how we do. We kind of vibe and chill. I'm going to figure out a way to implement maybe some sort of background pleasant sound so that we're not just sitting here listening to me talk, because I don't know, I just feel self-conscious about being the only sound or the sound of a fan in the background. Like, it might come off as dull or boring to someone who maybe needs more stimulation around them as they're working. I don't know, I personally, especially when I'm not necessarily designing and I don't really have to do a whole bunch of counting, I really like music in the background, and I like to sing along in the background, but I know that there's all these restrictions when you use music. But, it's not boring to those of us who just love the art, right? Or I would hope so. It might still be boring, I don't know. But yeah, look at my bag. Look at my bag. Coming out all nice and colorful. I tell you, like I said, these colors, I'm really proud of them. Really, really proud of the way they work up, the way they look together. And when I say the way they look together, I mean all of them. Y'all see when we do our different themes and different seasons and all of that, these colors work on so many levels. When autumn comes around, pull out the firelight, pull out the summer shine, you pull out fudge, drizzle, and brown sugar. You can pull out a little magic moss if you want to pop greenery in there, And then when winter comes around, you can pull out the Mermaid Water. You can pull out fudge, drizzle, brown sugar. You can even pull out a little fairy berry, And then when spring comes around, you can pull out, a little magic moss, a little summer shine, a little fudge drizzle, a little brown sugar, a little coconut cream. Coconut cream has officially been sold out. But, if you got a stash like some of us do, then maybe you got some on deck. But they work on so many levels. They work for the different seasons. They work for the different themes. Because when I tell you I love the Halloween time, we got our dragon glass and firelight, magic moss, fairy berry, and you want to throw a little candy corn vibe in there. We don't have white. You can pull white from anywhere, right? You can pull white from anywhere. You can also just get your summer shine and your firelight ready, So I'm just saying these colors, I'm really proud of them. And I thought of all of these things when deciding which colors were really important to have. These are my primaries. And I'm not a fan of the color red, but I know that a lot of people are. And at some point, hopefully, I'll be able to add more to this collection that I've curated. have a particular shade of red in mind that I would like to see amongst these. You know? But I'm going to end right here on the row 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14. We're going to end right here on row 14 of the bag. Can you see it though? Look at that. Look how beautifully it blends though. It's so funny, the blue and the green blend so nicely. It's almost hard to see where they change. But thank you all again so much for participating in another part of the Crochet Together, Summer Night Crochet Together. This is part 4. This is part 2 of part 4. And as you can see, we're breaking them up into like each part has 2 components, because I think it's really cool for myself and for you that, you know, even though we're doing this live and we're relaxed and we're, you know, kind of talking and kicking it or crocheting, take a little intermission and come back and pick our hooks back up, you know. So thank you all for participating. We will be meeting again for the last and final part of the Summer Night Crochet Together. It's going to be here on YouTube. It's going to be live, and it's going to just be my hands on camera. Hopefully, I will have gotten these nails taken care of by that time. But if not, y'all just gonna see overgrown nails on the camera as we put together all of the wonderful pieces of the Summer Night Crochet doll design. We're going to be putting the legs and the arms and all of that stuff where it belongs, and you're going to see in real time on camera live how we do that here. Again, you all have been wonderful. Make sure, or if it's something you desire, just, you know, get your pieces and things caught up so we can put everything together on Sunday, July 6th. So have a great week. I'll see if I can pop in during the week to just like, we gotta schedule a makeup. I know I keep saying it. But thank you all again for participating. And like I said, if you are interested in participating, getting the pattern, getting the design and catching up, or even if you don't want to catch up, you just want to have it, the description is, the link for everything is in the description. Y'all have a great Sunday, and I'll see you during the week. Bye, y'all.